I ran out of the family house at midnight. I heard my daughter-in-law say when she signs the papers, we kick her out. That old woman isn't entitled to anything. And my son, my David, the boy I raised with so much love, didn't say a word. I felt my soul being ripped out. My name is Linda. I'm 68 years old, and tonight, everything changed forever. The clock read 11:47 when I got up for a glass of water. The house was dark, only the kitchen light filtered down the hallway. I was barefoot as always so as not to wake anyone. But as I got closer, I heard voices. Emily, my daughter-in-law, was speaking to my son in whispers they thought were secret. I've already reviewed everything with the lawyer. She said, her voice as sweet as poison. All that's left is for her to sign the last power of attorney. I told her it was for the health insurance. My David said something I couldn't quite hear. I moved closer, my heart pounding like a war drum. "Don't worry, my love," Emily continued. "Your mother is old now, confused. She doesn't even read what she signs. When my name is on the deed, we'll send her to that nursing home out of state. The cheap one, the one we saw last week." The glass in my hand trembled. I had to lean against the wall to keep from falling. But the worst part, the thing that shattered my soul, was hearing my son's reply. "Just make sure she doesn't suspect anything until it's all done. My David, the child I nursed with these hands. The one who cried in my arms when his father left us. The one I swore to protect until my last breath was planning to get rid of me like I was trash." Tears rolled silently down my cheeks. The air grew thick, suffocating. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I just knew I had to get out of there. I went back to my room in silence, each step in agony. I grabbed my old coat, the one Emily always criticized, and my worn-out shoes. There was no time for anything else. As I walked down the stairs, I heard their laughter coming from the kitchen. They were celebrating my destruction with coffee and cake. The front door creaked when I opened it. For a second, fear paralyzed me. What if they heard me? But then I thought, what does it matter? They had already taken everything from me. The cold November air hit my face like a slap of reality. I ran. At 68 years old, with knees that ache every morning, I ran like I hadn't since I was a child. The streets of our quiet suburban neighborhood where I lived for 40 years became a blur through my tears. But as I turned the corner by the old oak, a voice stopped me. "Ms. Linda, don't go." "Wait." I turned slowly, terror creeping up my spine. A figure approached from the shadows. "I know everything they're planning, and I have the proof." It was Daniel, the accountant Emily had fired 3 weeks ago. His face, lit by the streetlight, showed a mix of urgency and determination. "I've been waiting for days for a chance to speak with you alone," he continued, looking nervously toward my house. "Emily doesn't just want your house, Ms. Linda. There's something more, something your husband left that she discovered, something worth millions." My legs gave out. Daniel grabbed my arm. "Come with me. My car is around the corner. You need to hear the recordings I have. And you need to know the truth about what Mr. Michael May, he rest in peace, really left for you." I looked back at the house where I thought I would die, surrounded by love. The kitchen lights were still on. My son and his wife were still planning my exile. "But there's more." Daniel lowered his voice. "Your son, David. He's not who you think he is. There are things Emily doesn't know, things that could save us all." The freezing wind was still blowing, but I no longer felt it. I could only think of one thing. After 68 years of an honest life of sacrifice, of unconditional love, the war was just beginning. And I, Linda Miller, was not going to give up without a fight. If this story is touching your heart, if you know someone who needs to hear it, subscribe to this channel right now, because what comes next, what I discovered that night, changed not only my life, but my entire family's. But first, let me tell you how we got to this point. Because to understand the depth of the betrayal, you need to know about the papers I almost signed and the mistake Emily made in underestimating this old woman. It all started 3 months ago on a Tuesday that seemed normal. Emily came into my room with her best smile, the one I now know was pure theater. She was carrying a blue folder, and her expensive perfume filled my room. She sat on the edge of my bed, took my hands in hers. "Mama Linda," she said in that honey-sweet voice, "David and I are worried about you. With everything going on with the banks, the new laws we need to protect your assets. I should have been suspicious. Emily never called me Mama unless she wanted something. Look, we brought these papers from the notary. They're just formalities updates. You know how bureaucracy is." She laughed, a fake sound that now makes me sick to remember. "David is so busy at the office that he asked me to help you with this. My son worked late, it was true. Since he was promoted at the construction firm, I barely saw him. Emily took care of everything at home, so you can rest," she'd say. The first document seemed harmless. An update to the medical insurance policy. I signed without reading much. My eyes don't help me like they used to, and Emily was in a hurry. "Perfect," she said, putting the paper away. "Oh, and this one is for the bank in case you ever need us to help with payments." Another paper, another signature. For weeks it was the same. Emily would appear with documents. Always in a hurry, always with believable excuses. Property taxes, the water bill, the electricity, a medical authorization, a power of attorney for bank transactions. "It's for your own good, Mama Linda. So you don't have to go out in this cold." I trusted them. How could I not? David was my only son. After Michael died 5 years ago, they moved in here temporarily, so I wouldn't be alone. Emily gave up her upscale downtown apartment. David gave up his bachelor's freedom, or so I thought. The truth was something else entirely. I learned that from Daniel that night in his car, as I shivered in my old coat. "Ms. Linda," he said, showing me his phone, "I have photos of all the documents they made you sign. Do you know what this one says?" It was a power of attorney. Broad, absolute. It gave Emily complete control over my assets. "And this other one," he continued, "is a transfer of rights. You're practically giving her the house." My hands were shaking so much I couldn't hold the phone. Daniel showed me another document. This is the worst one. It's a declaration where you supposedly acknowledge having early-stage dementia and request that Emily be your legal guardian. I couldn't breathe. The damn woman had thought of everything. How do you have all this?" I asked in a whisper. Daniel looked down. "Because I helped them at first. I prepared the documents. Emily promised me a percentage when they sold the house. But when I refused to forge your signature on the last document, the most important one, she fired me." "What document?" "The deed of sale. They need that to sell the house to investors. They already have a buyer, a real estate firm that wants to build condos. $4 million, Ms. Linda. That's why they're in such a hurry. $4 million. My house, the house where Michael and I built our life, was worth $4 million. But there's something Emily doesn't know." Daniel took a USB drive from his pocket. "Mr. Michael was smarter than anyone thought. Before he died, he asked me for help with something I kept all these years waiting for the right moment." My heart skipped a beat. Michael. My Michael, always taking care of me even from beyond the grave. "Emily found a bank account that's true. But she didn't find everything. Your husband left properties in your name that he never registered in the official will. He bought them through a trust that I managed. Land in another state, a house in the historic district investments that are now worth over $150,000. The tears were rolling down my cheeks, but they weren't just from pain anymore. Mr. Michael told me, "Daniel, if something happens to me and my son doesn't take care of Linda, like he should give this to her. But only if she needs it, only if she's in danger." I think that time has come, don't you? I nodded, unable to speak. "The problem," Daniel continued, "is that Emily has already made her moves. She has contacts at the public registry, at the bank, even at the notary's office. If we don't act fast in 2 weeks, you'll have nothing. What can we do?" My voice sounded strange, broken. "We fight back, but not how they expect. I have recordings, Ms. Linda, recordings of Emily explaining her plan to her lover." Her what, her lover? "The architect from the real estate firm. They've been together for months. David knows nothing. My poor son, betrayed twice over. Or maybe he knew and didn't care as long as he got the money. Listen to this." Daniel played an audio file on his phone. It was Emily. "It's almost done. The old woman signs everything without reading. David is such an idiot he thinks we're going to share the money. When I have the deeds, I'll divorce him and keep everything. You and I can go to Miami like we planned." A man's voice answered, "And what if the old lady resists?" "Please," Emily's cold voice said. "She's old, alone, confused. No one will believe her." Besides, I already have the diagnosis from Dr. Ramirez. Senile dementia. It was expensive, but it's worth it. I stopped the audio. I couldn't hear anymore. Ms. Linda Daniel looked at me with determination. We have the weapons to win this war, but you need to be strong. You need to pretend you know nothing while we prepare everything. Go back to that house. Yes, if you run away now, Emily will activate the dementia diagnosis. She'll say you're confused that you escaped, that you need to be committed immediately. But if you go back, if you pretend everything is normal for a few more days, I understood. The battle wouldn't be won by running. It would be won from the inside. Okay, I said, wiping my tears. I'll go back, but on one condition. What's that? I want to know everything about those properties Michael left. And I want to know why my son became this monster. Because the David I raised wasn't like this. Daniel nodded. There's more to tell you about your son, but that's something you should see for yourself when you watch these videos. He handed me another USB drive. They're from the security cameras in your house, the ones Emily doesn't know exist. The old oak tree was still swaying in the wind when Daniel dropped me off at the corner. I walked slowly towards my house, my prison, my battlefield. The kitchen lights were off now. I went inside, silently hung my coat in the same old place. I got into bed with my clothes on. The next morning, Emily came in with breakfast and her blue folder. Good morning, Mama Linda. Did you sleep well? I have the last little paper we need right here. I smiled. My best confused old lady smile. Of course, sweetie. Where do I sign? But this time, while pretending not to understand, I memorized every word. It was the deed of sale. The final nail in my coffin. I signed it with a trembling hand, but not with my real signature. Emily, in her arrogance, didn't even check. The war had begun, and Emily had no idea that the confused old woman in front of her was about to teach her the lesson of a lifetime. 40 years. This house in our quiet suburban neighborhood has been here for 40 years. Michael and I bought it in 1985 when David was just 2. I remember the day we first walked in. The walls were peeling, the yard was just dirt, and the kitchen had an old stove that produced more smoke than heat. But Michael hugged me from behind, put his hands on my belly where the baby we would lose months later was growing, and whispered, "We're going to be happy here, Linda. I promise you." And he kept his promise. He really did. With his own hands, my Michael transformed this house. He spent his weekends fixing every detail. He planted the orange tree in the backyard that now grows the sweetest oranges in the neighborhood. He built the stone wall that Emily wants to tear down for a parking space. He painted the facade colonial blue because he knew it reminded me of the ocean where we met. This house is our fortress, he used to tell me while installing the iron security bars. No one is going to touch us here. The irony of life. The threat didn't come from outside, it came from within. Michael died 5 years ago, a massive heart attack while working in his garage workshop. I found him lying among his tools with a strange smile on his face, as if he had seen something beautiful before he left. The doctor said he didn't suffer. I suffered for both of us. David arrived that same night from another state where he was living then. He cried like I hadn't seen him cry since he was a boy. He clung to me as if he was going to lose me too. "I'm not going to leave you alone, Mom. I swear." 3 months after the funeral, he showed up with Emily. "She's my girlfriend, Mom. We're getting married, and we want to live here with you to take care of you." Emily was charming at first, beautiful, polite, from a good family downtown. She worked at a law firm, dressed elegantly, spoke beautifully. David was head over heels in love. I let myself be charmed too. The wedding was simple in the backyard. Emily insisted we not spend much. "It's better to save for the future," she said. How blind I was. She was already calculating how much everything was worth. The first 2 years were good, or so I thought. Emily handled the shopping, David worked. I cooked for everyone. We seemed like the perfect family. On Sundays, we'd go to the 12 o'clock service at the local church, then have brunch at our favorite spot. The neighbors envied us. "You're so lucky," Ms. Linda Lupita from the flower stand would tell me. "A daughter-in-law who takes care of you, a hard-working son. God has blessed you. Yes, Lupita. God blessed me with a snake in my house. The changes started subtly. Emily suggested remodeling the kitchen, then the master bathroom. Then she wanted to knock down the wall between the living room and the dining room. To modernize, she said. But Michael liked it this way. I protested. Michael isn't here anymore, Mama Linda. We have to move on. Move on. Her way of erasing my husband from his own house. Little by little, Emily took control. The bills started arriving in her name. She collected the mail. She answered the door for visitors. I was becoming invisible in my own home. David worked more and more hours. He'd leave at 6 in the morning, return at 11 at night. On weekends, there were always meetings, trips, commitments. I'm doing this for you, he'd say when I complained about his absence. So you won't lack for anything. But I didn't need money. I needed my son. Emily made sure to push him away, subtly with manipulation. If I cooked his favorite roast, she'd say it upset her stomach. If I wanted to talk to him, she'd invent an emergency. If I suggested a family outing, she had a migraine. The house filled up with her things and emptied of mine. The photos of Michael were put away so they wouldn't make me sad. The old furniture was donated because it collected dust. My garden plants were replanted because they attracted mosquitoes. One day I found Michael's ashes in the utility closet behind old blankets. Emily had moved them because it wasn't healthy to have them in the living room. That night, I cried myself to sleep. My house was no longer my house. It was Emily's house. But what she didn't know, what she never knew, is that Michael was a planner. A very good planner. A week before he died, as if he sensed something, Michael took me to the bank. Linda, he said, sitting across from the bank manager, I'm putting the house in your name, only yours. But Michael, it's already in both our names. It's not enough. I want it only in your name, and I want to leave you something else. That something else was what Daniel revealed to me in the car, the secret properties, the investments, the trust. Michael knew David better than I did. He knew my son was weak, easily influenced. He didn't trust him to take care of me if something happened to him. If David fails, he told me that last week, I want you to have options. I want you to be able to defend yourself, and here I am 5 years later defending myself from my own son and his wife. As I write this in my mind, lying in bed pretending to sleep, I hear Emily in the hallway on the phone. Yes, she already signed. No, she doesn't suspect a thing. We're going to the notary on Monday. By December 15th, we can proceed with the sale. December 15th. The day Michael and I got married 43 years ago. I get up slowly, walk to the window. The orange tree in the yard is heavy with fruit. The stone wall is still standing firm. The colonial blue house needs a coat of paint, but it's holding on. Just like me, this house isn't just bricks and mortar. It's my story, my life, my love with Michael. Every corner holds a memory. David taking his first steps in the living room. Michael teaching him to ride a bike in the yard, Christmases with the family, birthdays, rainy nights, listening to music, Sunday mornings, smelling of fresh coffee and pastries. Emily thinks she can rip me out of here like a weed. But she doesn't know my roots are buried deep in the earth. She doesn't know that Michael left me more than a house. He left me the weapons to defend it. Tomorrow, the real battle begins. Tomorrow, I'll pretend to have dementia while she celebrates her victory. Tomorrow, I'll start recording every word, every threat, every lie. Because this house my husband left me is not for sale. This house is to be defended. And if I have to pretend to be crazy to prove I'm the sanest one of all, so be it. Michael, my love, wherever you are, I won't fail you. Your fortress is still standing. And so am I. The war for this house is just beginning, and Emily is about to find out she underestimated the old woman in the shabby coat. Daniel Hernandez was not the man he appeared to be. For 3 years, he was Emily's trusted accountant, the one who handled the numbers for the law firm where she worked. Quiet, efficient, invisible. The kind of person who goes unnoticed until you need them to disappear. And that's exactly what Emily did. Made him disappear when he was no longer useful. But Daniel had a history with my family that Emily never knew about. Ms. Linda, he told me that night in his car, while I shivered from cold and betrayal, there's something you need to know. I knew Mr. Michael long before I met Emily. I looked at him confused. Daniel was about 40 with premature gray hair and the tired eyes of someone who has seen too much. My father worked with Mr. Michael at the construction company 25 years ago. When my dad died in a work accident, I was 15. My mother was left a widow with 3 children. He paused, looking towards my house where the lights were still off. Mr. Michael had no legal obligation to help us. The accident was ruled as my father's negligence. But your husband showed up at our apartment on the rough side of town with an envelope. For the children's education, he said. He paid for college for all 3 of us, Ms. Linda. That's why I'm an accountant. Tears rolled down my cheeks. My Michael never told me about that. When Emily hired me 3 years ago, she didn't know this connection. But I knew who she was. The daughter-in-law of my benefactor. At first I thought she was a good person, that she would take care of you. How wrong I was. Daniel took out his phone, showed me a picture. It was him younger at a graduation. Beside him, Michael was smiling proudly. I went to thank him when I graduated. He told me, "Now go and be a good man, and if my family ever needs help, you help them like I helped yours." I never imagined that day would come like this. Why did you work with Emily on this? I couldn't say the words. Betrayal, fraud, theft. At first, I didn't know her intentions. She asked me to organize the family's papers to get everything in order. It seemed genuine. But 6 months ago, she started asking for strange things. Powers of attorney with hidden clauses, documents with fine print, altered appraisals. He stopped at a red light. The light illuminated his tormented face. I played along because I needed proof. I couldn't come to you with suspicions. I needed hard evidence. So I recorded everything. Every meeting, every call, every illegal instruction she gave me. And why did she fire you? Because I refused to forge your signature on the deed of sale. That was the line. It's one thing to prepare deceptive documents that you signed voluntarily even if you were deceived. It's another thing entirely to forge a signature. That's guaranteed jail time. Daniel took me to a 24-hour diner. I sat trembling while he ordered 2 strong coffees. Listen to this. He played another audio file on his phone. It was Emily talking to someone I didn't recognize. Notary Jimenez is already taken care of. It cost $10,000, but he'll certify that the old woman is lucid when we sign. Later, another doctor will certify the opposite. Progressive dementia. How many recordings do you have, I asked. Hours. Enough to put her in jail. But there's a problem. What, David? My heart stopped. What about David? Daniel hesitated, then showed me another video. It was from a restaurant's security camera. David was having dinner with a man I didn't know. That's Mr. Suarez, a specialist in family law. David consulted him 4 months ago. Listen. The audio was poor, but you could understand. David was saying, "I need to know how to protect my mother's assets if my wife and I get a divorce." The lawyer replied, "Does your wife have access to those assets?" "Not yet, but she's working on it. I need time. If I divorce her now, Emily might take it out on my mother." My son. My David was trying to protect me, in his own clumsy, cowardly way. But he was trying. There's more. Daniel switched videos. This is from 2 weeks ago. David was arguing with Emily in their bedroom, recorded by the camera Michael had installed in the hallway that no one else knew about. "That's enough, Emily. She's my mother." "Your mother is old David. Don't you see this is for the best? With that money we can start over." "Start over, you and me?" Emily laughed. "Of course, my love, you and me. Don't lie to me. I know about the architect Gonzalez." Silence. Emily didn't expect that. "I don't know what you're talking about." "I saw you, Emily, at the Presidential Hotel. I'm not as stupid as you think." "David, my love, let me explain." "No, not anymore. But I'm not going to let you hurt my mother. Sign the divorce papers I sent you and leave." "And if I don't want to, then I'll tell my mother everything." Emily moved closer to him, her voice becoming dangerous. "Do it. I'll tell her you planned everything, that it was your idea from the start. Who do you think she'll believe, the senile old woman or the daughter-in-law who's been taking care of her for years?" David didn't answer. In the video, he looked defeated. "Besides," Emily continued, "it's too late. She's already signed almost everything. In a week it'll be official. And if you try anything, your mother will end up in the cheapest facility I can find, and it will be your fault." I turned off the video. I couldn't watch anymore. "Your son is trapped, Ms. Linda. Emily has him threatened, blackmailed, but he's not the enemy. He's another victim." "So what do we do?" Daniel smiled for the first time. "I have a plan, but we need help. Someone with power, with contacts. Someone Emily can't buy or threaten. Who District Attorney Patricia Montenegro, the anti-corruption prosecutor who sent Notary Salgado to prison last year. Remember her?" I did remember her. She was in all the papers. An iron woman who bowed to no one. "She's my cousin," he said. "Her own father lost his house to one of them. Will she help us? I've already spoken to her. She's waiting for us tomorrow at 10. But Ms. Linda, you need to be strong. You need to keep pretending for a few more days. Can you do that?" I looked at the cold coffee in my hands. I thought of Michael of the House of David trapped in that snake's clutches. I can do whatever is necessary. Good, because what's coming will be tough. Emily will fight with everything she has, but we have something she doesn't. What? The truth. And $150,000 in properties she doesn't know exist, and a few aces up our sleeve that Mr. Michael left behind. Which ones? Daniel took a document from his briefcase. Mr. Michael was smarter than anyone thought. Look at the date on this document. It was a notarized document, dated 2 days before Michael's death. My heart nearly stopped when I read the contents. This is, yes, Ms. Linda, your husband foresaw everything. Emily dug her own grave the moment she set foot in this house. She just doesn't know it yet. Dawn was breaking when Daniel dropped me off again at the corner of my street. I went in silently, got into bed, fully dressed. At 7, Emily knocked on my door with breakfast. "Good morning, Mama Linda. How did you sleep?" "Fine, sweetie," I replied with my best confused old lady face. "That's good. We have to go to the bank today, remember, for the final signature." "Oh yes, the bank. What was that for again?" Emily smiled that satisfied snake smile. "For your protection, Mama. Just for your protection." I nodded as I took the pill she gave me every morning. The pill that was supposed to be for my blood pressure. The pill I spat out as soon as she left. The war had begun, and now I wasn't alone. I had Daniel, the son Michael saved. I had Patricia, the iron prosecutor. I had the recordings, the evidence, and the aces up my sleeve. Emily thought she was playing chess against a senile old woman. She didn't know she was playing against an army that Michael had prepared from the grave. In 5 days, her world would come crashing down, and I would be there to see it. Sunday, November 24th. I'll never forget it. It was the day I hit rock bottom. Emily had organized a family lunch. To celebrate, she said, without specifying what. She invited everyone. My sister Rose from Florida, my nephews David's cousins, even Donna Esperanza, my lifelong best friend. 30 people in my backyard. I made my special roast, the one that took me 2 days to prepare. Emily didn't even taste it. "Oh, Mama Linda, it's a bit salty," she said loudly so everyone could hear. Lately, she forgets how much salt she adds. A lie. The roast was perfect, and she knew it. But her show had already begun. During the meal, she dropped little comments, small bombs disguised as concern. The other day, I found Mama Linda talking to herself in the garden. "Right, Mom?" I wasn't talking to myself. I was talking to Michael like I do every morning for the past 5 years. But how could I explain that without sounding crazy? And last week, she got lost coming back from the market. We found her in the park, disoriented. Another lie. I had gone to the park to sit for a while because my knees hurt. Emily was the one who found me and made a whole scene. My sister Rose looked at me worriedly. "Linda, is that true?" Before I could answer, Emily continued, "That's why David and I are so worried. Right, my love?" David was sitting at the end of the table, staring at his plate. He looked up for a second, our eyes met. I saw pain, shame a plea, but he just nodded. "Yes, Mom has been different." Every word was a knife. The meal continued with Emily steering the conversation towards my supposed decline. She told made-up or twisted stories. She talked about doctors she'd consulted worrying diagnoses and difficult decisions they would have to make. "We've looked at some very nice residences," she said, pouring herself more iced tea, "with gardens activities, 24-hour medical care." "Residences!" my friend Esperanza almost shouted. "Are you thinking of putting Linda in a home?" "It's not putting her in a home, Donna Esperanza. It's about professional care. We work all day. We can't give her the attention she needs." "But Linda is perfectly fine," my friend defended. "I spoke with her yesterday and she's more lucid than you and me combined." Emily smiled condescendingly. Moments of lucidity are common in these cases, but the moments of confusion are becoming more frequent. "Isn't it true that on Tuesday you didn't recognize David?" Another lie. "On Tuesday, David came home at 2 a.m. drunk, and I told him it was no time to be arriving. That was all." "Look, Rose." Emily turned to my sister. "I know it's hard to accept, but Linda needs constant supervision. Dr. Ramirez says it's progressive senile dementia." Dr. Ramirez, the same one Emily had paid off according to Daniel's recordings. My niece Lucy, who is a nurse, intervened. "Aunt Linda doesn't show any symptoms of dementia. I see her alert-oriented with her memory intact." "Are you a geriatrician, Lucy?" Emily used her lawyer tone. "A specialist in neurology because Dr. Ramirez is." The final blow came after dessert. Emily stood up, asking for everyone's attention. "Family, we've gathered you here because we need your support. Linda needs special care, and well, it's hard to say this, but the house will have to be sold to pay for her medical expenses." The silence was deafening. "David and I have found a buyer. It's a generous amount that will cover years of care in the best facility." "Sell Michael's house?" Rose was pale. "Linda, do you agree with this?" All eyes fell on me. Emily looked at me with a sweet smile, but her eyes were daggers. If I said no, I'd confirm my mental confusion. If I said yes, I'd publicly accept the sale. But Daniel had prepared me for this moment. "Oh, Rose," I said with a trembling voice, "I don't even know what to think anymore. Emily says it's for the best. She knows about these things." "See?" Emily almost savored her victory. "She's confused. That's why she needs us to make decisions for her." My friend Esperanza stood up furiously. "This is a robbery. Linda is not crazy, and you know it." "Donna Esperanza," Emily used her most dangerous voice, "I suggest you don't make unfounded accusations. It could be considered slander." "Are you threatening me, girl?" "I'm just informing you of your rights, just as I'm informing you that Linda has already signed the necessary documents. Everything is perfectly legal." It was then that my nephew Charles, the one who works in government, spoke up. "I'd like to see those documents and the medical diagnosis and talk to that Dr. Ramirez." Emily paled for a second, but quickly recovered. "Of course everything is in order. David, can you bring the blue folder?" David stood up like a zombie. He walked towards the house, dragging his feet. He returned with the folder I had seen so many times. Emily took out the documents, showing them quickly. "As you can see, Linda signed everything voluntarily." "Those signatures look strange," Charles noted. "Is it because of her condition?" Her hand trembles. A lie. My pulse was steady when I wasn't acting. The gathering ended in chaos. The family was divided. Some believed I needed help. Others smelled a rat. Emily had achieved her goal to plant doubt about my mental health in front of witnesses. When everyone had left, I sat in the garden on the bench Michael built. Tears rolled silently. David approached. He sat next to me without saying a word. After a long silence, he spoke. "Forgive me, Mom." I didn't answer. "I know what you're thinking. I'm a coward. You're right. But I don't know how to get out of this. Emily she has things, videos, photos, from when I took money from the construction company." I looked at him for the first time. My son, my boy, looked defeated. "It was 2 years ago. We needed money for the wedding. Emily said we'd pay it back. But we never did. If she talks, I'll go to jail. Is that why you're allowing this?" "I don't know what else to do. If I confront her, she'll destroy me. And then she'll come for you anyway. I stood up. I looked down at him like when he was a boy and had done something wrong. Your father would be disappointed. It was cruel, I know, but I needed him to react. But I'm not your father. I'm not strong like him. No, I replied, walking towards the house. You're not, but you can still choose which side to be on when this all blows up. Blows up, Mom, what? Just remember this, David. Emily isn't the only one who can keep secrets, and I'm not as weak as I look. I went into the house, leaving him alone with his guilt. That night, Emily was celebrating in her room. I heard her on the phone. It was perfect. Half the family already thinks she's senile. In 2 days, we sign at the notary's, and that's it. I smiled in the darkness of my room. Emily thought she had won. She didn't know her greatest triumph would be her downfall. Because every humiliation, every lie, every tear she drew from me in front of my family had been recorded. Daniel had installed microphones early that morning while Emily was preparing her show. DA Patricia Montenegro would have a perfect case fraud breach of trust document forgery and now slander and emotional distress. Emily had humiliated me in front of 30 people, but in 48 hours she would be humiliated in front of the whole city. Revenge, they say, is a dish best served cold, and mine was about to be frozen solid. Monday, November 25th, 10 a.m., District Attorney Patricia Montenegro's office. Mrs. Miller, the DA looked me straight in the eye. What Daniel is showing me is enough to put your daughter-in-law in prison for 20 years, but I need you to understand something. Once we start, there's no going back. Patricia Montenegro wasn't what I imagined. I expected a tough, cold woman. But she had understanding eyes and hands that trembled slightly with indignation as she reviewed the evidence. My father lost everything because he trusted people, she told me. A corrupt notary altered document signatures under duress. He died of a broken heart 6 months later. That's why I do this job. On her desk were all the recordings, the documents, the evidence Daniel had collected for months. The problem, Patricia continued, is that Emily is a lawyer. She knows the system. If she suspects anything, she could destroy evidence, intimidate witnesses, pull strings. So what do we do? Patricia smiled. It was a dangerous, predatory smile. We trap her with her own weapons. Mrs. Miller, are you willing to play the role of a lifetime? What do I need to do? Pretend to have progressive dementia. But not just any dementia, a very specific one that leads you to sign increasingly compromising documents for Emily. Daniel interjected. Patricia has a brilliant plan. Emily wants the house, but we can make her want more. Let her greed blind her. Patricia opened a new folder. These are fake documents I prepared. They look real, but they have invisible watermarks that prove they're part of an undercover operation. If Emily uses them, she'll sink herself. I don't understand. Look, ma'am, Emily thinks you only have this house, but Daniel showed me that your husband left hidden properties. We're going to let Emily discover these properties, documents forgotten in strategic places. What if she doesn't fall for it? She'll fall for it, Daniel assured. I know her. Her greed has no limits. Patricia continued. In the meantime, we need more evidence. Mrs. Miller, can you wear this? She handed me a hair brooch. It looked normal, old-fashioned, the kind an older lady would wear. It's a camera. It also records audio. Wear it always, especially when you're alone with Emily. There's more. Daniel took out his laptop. I've installed cameras throughout the house. Emily doesn't know. We've also tapped her phone. Is that legal? I asked. It's your house, Mrs. Miller, Patricia explained. You can record whatever you want on your property, and Emily's phone is under David's name, and he gave his consent. David cooperated. He doesn't know yet, Daniel admitted. But technically, as her husband, he has the right. We'll deal with those details later. The next few days were a macabre play. Tuesday, I forgot an old bank statement on the dining room table showing an account with $25,000. Emily found it just as we knew she would. I saw her photograph it with her phone. Wednesday, in the middle of a conversation, I feigned confusion. Michael, did you go to the bank in the historic district? No, wait, Michael is gone. Oh, yes. Oh, I don't know anymore. Emily jotted it all down in her notebook. Thursday, Daniel, posing as a bank employee, called the house. Mrs. Miller, about your account at our downtown branch. I hung up, pretending to be scared, saying I didn't know about any account. Emily immediately grabbed the phone and hit redial. Friday, the masterstroke. I faked a severe episode of confusion. I took a shoebox full of documents prepared by Patricia from the closet and started tearing them up, shouting, "Michael cheated on me! He had another family!" Emily ran to stop me. Among the papers were deeds to land in another state valued at millions. She snatched them from my hands. "Mama Linda, calm down. Let me put these away. We shouldn't tear up anything important." "No, it's all lies. Michael lied to me." Calm down, calm down. Look, we'll put all this in a safe place, okay?" I watched her take the documents to her room. The hidden camera recorded her examining them one by one, calculator in hand, her eyes shining with greed. That same night, we recorded her talking to the architect Gonzalez, her lover. "It's more than we thought. The old woman has properties everywhere. We're talking about a total of about $5 million. "How did you not know?" "The old man was smarter than we thought. But it doesn't matter. The senile woman is getting worse. She almost burned the house down yesterday. We're committing her on Monday. And David is an idiot. When I have everything in my name, I'll divorce him and we'll go to Spain as planned." Patricia was right. Her greed was blinding her. Saturday night, the plan entered its critical phase. Emily prepared a special dinner. She lit candles, brought out the good wine, and cooked for the first time in months. "Mama Linda, David, we need to talk." David looked at her suspiciously. I pretended to play with my food, lost in my own world. "I've been thinking," Emily continued, "and I don't think we've handled this situation well. Linda doesn't need a nursing home. She needs love care, here in her home." David frowned. "What are you planning?" "Nothing, my love. I just realized I was being selfish. Your mother needs us, but to take care of her properly, we need resources. That's why I think we should manage her properties better." "What properties?" "There's only the house." Emily smiled. "Oh, David, your mother has more than you think. Right, Mama Linda?" She looked at me intently. I kept playing with my fork. "I found documents. Properties your father left. I don't think your mother remembers, but they're there. And if we don't manage them, the government could claim them as abandoned." A lie. But David didn't know the law. "Look." She pulled out the fake documents. Land in another state, a house in the historic district, bank accounts. All this needs professional management. And what do you suggest? That your mother signs a general power of attorney to manage everything. That way we can take care of her assets and take care of her. David looked at me. For a moment, I saw a flicker of suspicion in his eyes. "Mom, did you know about these properties?" It was my moment. I acted confused, scared. "Properties? No, Michael only had the workshop. Where's Michael? I want to talk to Michael." Emily touched David's hand. "See, this is why we need to act quickly." But David wasn't entirely convinced. "I want to look at those documents myself." "Of course, my love. Review them. You'll see I'm right." That night, while everyone was asleep, I got up. I went to the study where Emily kept her documents. With the key Daniel had given me, a copy of the one Emily hid in the flower pot, I opened the drawer. I added one more document to the pile, one that Patricia had specially prepared. It was devastating. A supposed deed of sale where Emily was trying to sell non-existent properties to a ghost buyer for $2.5 million. If Emily used that document, she was signing her own sentence. Sunday morning. Emily was euphoric. She had found the document. "David, look at this. Your mother had already started a sale, but in her confusion she didn't complete it. If we don't act, we'll lose millions." David reviewed the document. "This looks strange, Emily." "That's because your mother did it alone without advice. That's why we need to take control now." I heard her call Notary Jimenez, the corrupt one, the one she had paid off. "Mr. Jimenez, I need you to prepare everything for tomorrow. Yes, the whole package. The lady will sign everything." She hung up and looked at me. I was still pretending to watch TV Lost. "Tomorrow, Mama Linda, we're going to fix everything. You're going to be well taken care of, I promise." I smiled vaguely. "That's good, sweetie." Emily didn't know that tomorrow would be the day of her downfall. Patricia already had the search warrant. Notary Jimenez was under surveillance. Emily's accounts were preventively frozen. The stage was set. The actors were in place. All that was left was for the curtain to rise on the final act. That night before sleeping, I spoke to Michael as I always do. "It's almost time, my love. Justice is almost served. Give me strength for the final act." And I swear I felt his hand on my shoulder, just like when he was alive, and would tell me, "You can do it, Linda. You always can." Tomorrow, Emily would meet the real Linda Miller, and she wasn't going to like it one bit. That Sunday night, I couldn't sleep, not because of nerves about the plan we would execute the next day, but because of what I discovered at 3 a.m. I got up for some water. Passing by the study, I saw a light under the door. David was there looking over the documents Emily had left out. But he wasn't alone. He was on the phone speaking in a very low voice. I crept closer without a sound. The brooch camera was still recording. "Yes, Mom is worse. No, she doesn't suspect a thing. Emily is right. She needs special care." My heart stopped. Who was he talking to? "The money from the construction company is safe. I invested it like you said. Yes, the $10,000 I took. No, Emily doesn't know the real amount." 10,000. Emily had told him it was 2,500. David had stolen more than she knew. "We sign everything tomorrow." "No, I don't feel good about it. But what else can I do? Mom is old auntie. It would be cruel to prolong her suffering." He was talking to my sister Rose. My own sister was involved. "Yes, your share is guaranteed, 30% as we agreed, for taking care of her when this is all over." My legs gave out. I had to lean against the wall. "Emily is a harpy, yes, but she's useful. Once I have everything, I'll divorce her and take half. Then you can take care of Mom in Florida. The facility you found is fine, it's affordable." My son, my baby. The child I birthed in pain, who I nursed, who I cared for through fevers, who I took to school every day, who I comforted in his failures, was planning my exile with my own sister. No, it's not cruelty, Aunt Rose, it's pragmatism. Dad left everything to Mom's name out of sexism because he didn't trust me. But that money is mine by right. I'm the only son. Michael didn't trust you because he knew you, I thought bitterly. He knew your weakness, your sleeping greed. The house in the historic district, Emily doesn't know that I knew about it. Dad told me before he died. I also know about the money in the Swiss bank. It's almost $5 million, Auntie. A Swiss bank. $5 million, I knew nothing about that. Oh yes, that was part of what Daniel hadn't told me. That's why I'm letting Emily do the dirty work. She takes the blame, I get the money. And Mom will be well taken care of. She won't lack for anything. Except dignity, I thought. Except freedom. Except real love. I have to go. Emily might wake up. Yes, I'll call you tomorrow after the signing. Get the room ready at your house. I don't think Mom will last long in her condition. I heard his footsteps approaching. I hid in the hallway bathroom, trembling not from cold but from pain. David walked past towards his room. He paused at my door. "Forgive me, Mom," he whispered, "but it's for the best for everyone." The best for everyone, no, the best for him. I returned to my room in silence. I sat on the bed, tears streaming down my face uncontrollably. The pain was physical, like my heart had been ripped out. My son wasn't a victim of Emily. He was her accomplice. Worse, he was the true mastermind. He was using Emily as a shield while he pulled the strings. I grabbed the emergency phone Daniel had given me. I sent him a message. "David knows everything. He's with Rose. There's money in Switzerland. Come quick." Daniel arrived in 20 minutes. He came in through the back door I had left unlocked. "What happened, Ms. Linda?" I showed him the recording from the brooch. His face grew pale as he listened. "This changes everything," he said. "Patricia needs to know this now." "Daniel," I stopped him. "Is it true about the Swiss bank?" He hesitated. Then he nodded. "Mr. Michael made me swear not to tell you unless it was absolutely necessary. There's an account in Zurich with $5,300,000, the result of investments he made 30 years ago." "Why didn't he tell me?" "Because he knew you would tell David. And Mr. Michael never trusted your son. He told me, if David were half the man he pretends to be, I wouldn't need to hide this money, but I know him. He's weak and greedy like his maternal grandfather." "David's grandfather. My father had lost the family inheritance to gambling. Michael had always known. How does David know about that money? I don't know. Mr. Michael swore he never told him. I thought. I remembered. Then I knew. The day Michael died, David got to the workshop first. He was alone with the body for 20 minutes before the ambulance arrived. He had time to go through his things. The bank documents were in the workshop safe, Daniel confirmed. Did David have the combination? He did. Michael gave it to him in case something happened, so he could give it to me. But David never gave it to me. He kept the secret. And he had been waiting 5 years for the perfect moment to execute his plan. Ms. Linda, this is serious. David isn't just an accomplice, he's the mastermind. Emily is just his tool. What do? We stick to the plan, but now we're catching 2 birds. No 3 with Rose. My sister. 50 years of sisterhood thrown away for money. Daniel called Patricia. He explained everything. I heard her shout through the speakerphone, "Sons of bitches! Excuse me, Mrs. Miller, but this is... Look, don't worry. We're going to take them all down." "Patricia," I said, moving closer to the phone, "I want David to pay, but he's my son." "Ma'am, your son stopped being your son when he planned to lock you away. But I promise you something, his sentence will be just. No more, no less than what he deserves." I spent the rest of the night packing. Not clothes or things. I packed memories, photos of baby David, his diplomas, his childhood drawings, everything that was left of the son I thought I had. At dawn, Emily knocked on my door. "Mama Linda, time to get ready. Today is a big day." "Yes, sweetie," I replied with a tired voice. "Very important." I put on my best dress, the blue one Michael gave me on our last anniversary. I did my hair carefully, put on the camera brooch. David was waiting in the living room in a suit, avoiding my gaze. "Good morning, Mom." "Good morning, son." Son. The word got stuck in my throat. "Ready to go?" Emily asked impatiently. "Just one thing," I said. I approached. David took his hands. "I want you to know that no matter what happens today, I always loved you. From the moment you were born until this very instant. Always." For a second, I saw confusion in his eyes, then guilt, then nothing. "I love you too, Mom. That's why we're doing this." Liar, I thought, but I smiled. "I know, son. Everyone shows their love in their own way." We walked out to the car. Emily was happy humming. David drove in silence. I looked out at the streets of my neighborhood for the last time as a free woman. In the notary's parking lot, I saw Daniel's car. 2 blocks further, the DA's black SUV. "Let's go in," Emily said. "The notary is waiting for us." I walked between my son and my daughter-in-law, the one who was supposed to protect me and the one who swore to love me, my executioners. But they didn't know that the victim had become the hunter, and that in a few minutes their worlds would come crashing down. The final betrayal had been discovered, and it would be the last. I walked into the notary's office with my head held high. Linda Miller was not going to give up, even if it meant losing the son I loved most. Notary Jimenez was waiting for us with his best vulture smile. His office smelled of old leather and corruption. "Mrs. Miller, what a pleasure to see you. Please have a seat." Emily went first. "You have all the documents ready, right?" "Of course, ma'am. Everything as we agreed." As he took out the papers, my mind flashed back to 3 days earlier when Daniel had revealed Michael's best-kept secret. "Ms. Linda, you need to know everything before you walk into that notary's office," he had told me in his office. Mr. Michael wasn't just a builder, he was an investor, and a very smart one. He showed me documents that took my breath away. "In 1995, your husband bought land in what was then the middle of nowhere. Today, it's a booming tech hub. He sold most of it in 2010 for $2.5 million, but he kept 3 lots. They're in the name of a shell company that only you can claim." "I don't understand." "Mr. Michael created an irrevocable trust. You are the sole beneficiary. Not even David can touch it. But there's more." He took out another folder. The Swiss account David mentioned exists, but it's not $5 million. It's 5 million Swiss francs, about $5.5 million. And David doesn't have all the information. He needs your signature and your physical presence in Zurich to access it. Why did Michael do all this? He explained it to me before he died, Daniel said. I love my son, but he inherited the worst of his grandfather. If I leave him everything directly, he'll lose it, or they'll use it to manipulate him. But Linda is strong. She'll know what to do when the time comes. That time had come. In the notary's office, Mr. Jimenez began his performance. Mrs. Miller, these documents will transfer the total administration of your assets to your daughter-in-law, who will look after your interests. All my assets? I asked, feigning confusion. All the registered ones, yes. Emily smiled. She didn't catch the detail. The unregistered assets, the ones in the trust, would remain mine. Sign here, Jimenez pointed. I took the pen. My hand trembled theatrically. It's just, I don't know. Michael always said never to sign anything without reading it. Mom, David intervened. It's for your own good. I looked him in the eyes. I saw pure greed. David, do you also think I should sign? Yes, Mom. It's for the best. And your father's house, the one in the historic district. Emily and David exchanged quick glances. What house in the historic district, Mom? David feigned ignorance. The one Michael bought before he died. He said it was for you, but that I should look after it. It was a lie, but I needed to see how far their greed would go. Emily nearly jumped. There's another property. David, did you know? No, I wasn't sure. Mom sometimes imagines things. I'm not imagining, I said, pulling a paper Daniel had prepared from my purse. Look, here it is. It was fake, but perfect. Emily snatched it. This is worth at least $500,000. Why didn't you mention it before? I forgot, I said, shrugging. I forget things lately. That's why it's better if I sign everything right. Yes, sign. Jimenez pushed the documents forward. But then Patricia Montenegro walked in with 4 agents. Nobody signs anything. This notary's office is under investigation. Emily went pale. What is the meaning of this? It means, Mrs. Montoya, that you are under arrest for fraud, breach of trust, document forgery, and conspiracy. This is ridiculous. I'm a lawyer. I demand to speak with my lawyer. You can do that from the station. Patricia turned to David. Mr. Miller, you are also under arrest. Me, I'm a victim of my wife. Patricia smiled. A victim. We have recordings of you planning the fraud with your Aunt Rose, calls, videos, everything. David looked at me. In his eyes, I saw the exact moment he understood. Mom, you. Don't feign surprise, son. I know about the money from the construction company. I know about your deal with Rose. I know you plan to lock me away. That's not true. Emily forced me. Emily turned furiously. Forced you? You planned everything. You told me your mother had millions hidden away. Shut up. No. If I go down, you go down with me. Officers David Miller stole $10,000 from the construction company. I have proof. They turned on each other like the rats they were. Patricia let them fight for a moment, then ordered, "Take them away." As they were being handcuffed, David looked at me with pure hatred. You're a manipulative old woman. Dad was right. You were always a snake disguised as a saint. His words hurt more than anything else. Emily was screaming, You'll pay for this, you old hag. You don't know who you're messing with. Notary Jimenez tried to escape, but they were waiting for him outside. When they were gone, I was left alone with Patricia and Daniel. Are you okay, Mrs. Miller? No, but I will be. Patricia handed me an envelope. This arrived this morning. It's from Rose. We arrested her last night in Florida. She wanted to negotiate her freedom with information. I opened the letter. My sister's trembling handwriting. Linda, I know I don't deserve forgiveness. Envy consumed me all these years. You with your perfect husband, your beautiful house, your well-behaved son. Me with my failures, my divorces, my debts. When David offered me money to take care of you, I saw my chance. Forgive me if you can. But know this, David has more secrets. Ask about Veronica Duarte, Michael's mistress. Mistress Michael Daniel saw my face. It's not what you think. Veronica Duarte is a banker in Switzerland. Mr. Michael appointed her as the trustee. Professionally, not personally. But the damage was done. Rose had planted the seed of doubt, her final stab. What happens now? I asked. Patricia was clear. Emily will face serious charges, a minimum of 10 years in prison. David for the theft and conspiracy about 5 years. Rose 2 years for complicity. And the house? It's yours. It was always yours. The documents you signed with Emily are void due to duress. And the money in Switzerland? Also yours. Daniel will help you with the paperwork. I left the notary's office at noon. The November sun was warm. My neighborhood looked the same, but everything was different. Donna Esperanza. My friend was waiting on the corner. Linda, I heard everything. The whole neighborhood is talking. And what are they saying? That you're a badass. That you gave those ungrateful people what they deserved. I smiled bitterly. It doesn't feel like a victory. Victories against family never feel good. But it was necessary. Come on, let's get some coffee. As we walked, my phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. Mrs. Miller, this is Veronica Duarte from Zurich. Mr. Michael asked me to contact you when the time was right. That time has come. There is something else you should know about the inheritance. Something not even Daniel knows. Your husband left you more than money. He left you a truth you need to hear. I will see you in the States next week. I put the phone away. Michael was still surprising me from the grave. That night, I slept alone in my house for the first time in years. There was no Emily feigning affection, no David avoiding me, just me and the ghosts of what my family was. But there was also peace, the peace of knowing that Michael had foreseen everything, that he had protected me even from our own son. The hidden inheritance wasn't just money. It was the truth about who we each really were, and that truth, though painful, had set me free. 1 week later, December 2nd, 7 p.m. I organized a dinner, the last supper in this house with everyone involved before the trial. Patricia Montenegro advised against it, but I needed to close this chapter by looking them in the eye. Thanks to their lawyers, Emily and David were out on bail. Rose was too. All three were court-ordered to attend a family mediation attempt before the criminal trial. But I had other plans. The table was set for 10. The three accused Daniel Patricia, my friend Esperanza, as a moral witness, Mr. Vargas as the official mediator, and 2 surprise guests no one expected. Emily arrived first, elegant as ever, but with dark circles under her eyes that makeup couldn't hide. "Ma'am," she said coldly, "no more Mama Linda." David entered behind her, not looking at me. They sat as far away from my spot as possible. Rose arrived crying, wanting to hug me. I stopped her with a gesture. "No hugs today, Rose. Today is for truths." When everyone was seated, I stood up. "I've gathered you here to close this story, but first, I want to introduce you to someone." The door opened. Veronica Duarte, the Swiss banker, walked in. 45, elegant, serious. "Good evening. I am the trustee of the estate of Mr. Michael Miller." David went pale. "Estate?" "Yes, Mr. Miller. Your father created a trust 25 years ago, but I'm not just here for that." She sat down and took out a tablet. "Mr. Michael left me a video to be played at this moment, recorded 2 days before his death." She pressed play. Michael's image appeared on the screen. My heart skipped a beat. There he was, my love, speaking from beyond the grave. "If you are watching this, it means what I feared has happened. Linda. My love, forgive me for not telling you everything. But I knew our son better than you were willing to accept." David shifted uncomfortably. "David's son, I know you're there. I know what you did. I know you've been taking money since you started at the construction company. Not $2,500, not $10,000, $65,000 over 5 years. Emily shot David a furious look. "I also know you have a 4-year-old daughter with your secretary, Claudia. Yes, Linda, our son has another family. He keeps them in a condo in the suburbs." The world stood still. A daughter. David had a daughter, Emily. Michael continued in the video. "You don't know this, but David was planning to leave you even before my death. He was just waiting to get the inheritance. You were his tool, not his accomplice, though that doesn't make you any less guilty." Emily was livid. "A daughter, you have a daughter." David didn't answer. "Rose," Michael continued, "sister-in-law, you were always envious. But Linda loved you, so I tolerated your manipulations. I'm not surprised you betrayed your sister for money." Rose was crying silently. "Now for the important part. Linda, everything I have is yours. Not by law, but by love. The money in Switzerland, the properties, everything. But there's something more." Michael paused in the video. "I hired private investigators. I have proof of everything I just said. It's in the bank's safe deposit box, account number 47392. Use it as you see fit. But Linda, my love, listen carefully. Don't destroy them out of revenge. Do it for justice. And then forgive them. Not for them, but for you. So you can live your golden years in peace. David's son. I know you hate me. You always hated me for being strict, for pushing you, for not giving you everything you wanted. But every no I gave you was an act of love. I tried to make you a good man. I failed. But the failure is mine, not your mother's." David's fists were clenched, his jaw tight. "One last thing. Linda, in the safe deposit box, there's also a letter. Read it when you're alone. It's just for you. I love you all, even those who betrayed me, but I love the truth more. And the truth, sooner or later, always comes to light." The video ended. The silence was deafening. Then the second surprise guest arrived, Claudia Mendez holding the hand of a 4-year-old girl. David's daughter. "Good evening," Claudia said, looking at David. "Just as they asked me to. This is Sarah." The little girl was the spitting image of David as a child. The same eyes, the same nose, even the dimple in her chin. Emily shot up from her chair. 4 years old. We've been married for 6. "Emily," Claudia said calmly, "David promised to marry me before he met you. Then you came along with your money, your last name, your connections, and he traded up." "David!" Emily screamed at him. "Was any of it real?" David finally spoke. "Love doesn't pay the bills, Emily." And it was as if he had slapped her. Emily, the manipulator, had been manipulated. "And my daughter?" I asked, looking at the child. "My granddaughter I never knew." "Sarah is not to blame for any of this," I said. "Claudia, please sit down. Sarah is my granddaughter no matter what happens with David." The little girl looked at me with curiosity. "Are you my grandma? Daddy said you were sick." "I was sick, my love, but I'm all better now." Patricia Montenegro took the floor. "Well, with this new evidence, the charges against David increase. Family fraud, statutory rape, child abandonment." "You can't prove anything," David shouted. Daniel smiled. "Actually, we can. I have the deposits you made to Claudia, the lease for the suburban apartment, even the birth certificate where you're listed as the father." David slumped in his chair. "Now," I said, standing up, "everyone knows the truth. Emily, you were a victim and a perpetrator. Rose, your envy blinded you. David," I paused. I couldn't call him son. "David, you failed as a son, as a husband, as a father, and as a man, but Sarah will not pay for your mistakes." I took out a document. "This is a trust I've just created. $250,000 for Sarah's education and support. Claudia will be the administrator until she turns 18. "Why?" Claudia asked, surprised. "Because that little girl is my blood, and because Michael would have wanted his granddaughter to have opportunities." "And us?" Rose asked. "You will face justice. Emily probably 5 years in prison for the forged documents. Rose 2 years. David?" I looked at him directly. "David, you decide. You can accept the charges and serve your sentence, or I can present all the evidence Michael left, including the evidence of the murder." Everyone froze. "What murder?" Emily almost screamed. Michael didn't die of a natural heart attack, I said, pulling out a medical document. He had digoxin in his blood, a heart medication he didn't take. In high doses, it causes cardiac arrest. David had access to the workshop that morning, I continued, and curiously he bought digoxin at the pharmacy 3 days before. I have the receipt. David was white as a sheet. No, you can't prove that That you what? That you killed your own father for money. The workshop's security video shows you entered at 7 a.m. Michael died at 7:30. It was a partial bluff. I couldn't prove he administered the digoxin, but the suspicion was there. You're a monster, Emily whispered. But, I said, raising my hand, I will not press those charges. Michael wouldn't have wanted that. Accept the 5 years for fraud and disappear from my life. David nodded, defeated. Rose, after you serve your sentence, I never want to see you again. Linda, please. No. You betrayed me for money. That is unforgivable. Emily. I addressed her. You're young, intelligent. Serve your sentence, rebuild your life. But far away from here. The dinner was over. Everyone left in silence except for Claudia and Sarah. Mrs. Miller, Claudia said, I don't know what to say. Don't say anything. Just take care of my granddaughter and bring her to visit me. Can I call you Grandma? Sarah asked. Of course you can, my love. When they left, I was alone with Daniel and Patricia. You did very well, ma'am, Patricia said. You were just. No, I replied. I was practical. True justice doesn't exist. There is only moving forward. That night, I opened the safe deposit box at the bank. Michael's letter was there. Linda, my love, if you're reading this, you survived the betrayal. You are stronger than you think. Live, be happy. Travel, fall in love again if you can. The house is just a house. The money is just paper. But the time you have left is gold. Don't waste it on hatred. I love you. I always loved you. Michael. I cried like I hadn't cried in weeks. But they were clean tears of closure of an ending. The night of truth was over, and with it, the lies that had bound me. March 15th, 4 months later. Judgment Day. The courtroom was packed. Half the neighborhood had come to see the outcome. The ladies from the market, the shopkeepers, everyone Emily had looked down on for years. David entered in handcuffs. He had aged 10 years in 4 months. Emily in pretrial detention looked gaunt. Rose wouldn't even look up. Judge Mendoza, known for his severity, reviewed the file. Case 247-2024. The State versus David Miller, Emily Montoya, and Rose Hernandez for fraud, document forgery, breach of trust, and conspiracy. Before I pass sentence, he continued, the victim, Mrs. Linda Miller, has requested to address the court. I stood up. I had prepared every word for 7 months. Your Honor, for 40 years I built a family. I believed in love and loyalty, in the idea that blood meant something. I was wrong. But my mistake wasn't trusting. It was not seeing the signs. I looked at David. Son, because even though you betrayed me, you are still the child I gave birth to. I failed you. I gave you everything except limits. Your father tried, but I always defended you. He's my only son, I would say, and that excess of love rotted you. David lowered his head. Emily, I addressed her. You entered my house with lies, but I opened the door for you. I saw the red flags, your obsession with money, your contempt for simple things, your coldness. But I wanted to believe you loved my son. Rose, sister, we grew up together. We shared dolls, secrets, first loves. At what point did your envy become stronger than your love? Rose was sobbing. But I am not here to condemn you further. I am here to ask for something unusual. The judge raised an eyebrow. I don't want the maximum penalty for them. I want restorative justice. Murmurs filled the room. David, I continued, accept your responsibility. Not just legally, but morally. You have a daughter who doesn't know her real father. Be that father. From prison if you must, but be a father. Emily, you are brilliant. You used your intelligence for evil. I propose community service after your prison time. Free legal aid for elderly victims of fraud. Rose, your sentence will be lighter. But I want you to work in nursing homes to see the reality of abandoned elderly people, to understand what you planned for me. The judge took notes. Mrs. Miller, he said, your requests are noted, but the law must be upheld. I understand, Your Honor. I only ask that the punishment transforms, not just punishes. I sat down. The judge deliberated for 30 minutes. All rise for the sentencing. We all stood. David Miller, guilty. 5 years in prison, 3 mandatory, 2 on parole. He will be required to pay for psychological therapy and support his minor child. Numb. Emily Montoya, guilty. 4 years in prison, 2 mandatory, 2 on parole with required community service providing free legal aid. Rose Hernandez, guilty. 2 years in prison, commutable to work in nursing homes and community service. The gavel fell. It was official. As they were led away, David turned. Mom, he said. Just that. Mom. I didn't answer. I wasn't his mom anymore. I was Linda. 6 months later, the house looked different. Not on the outside, it was still painted colonial blue. On the inside, there was new life. I turned the first floor into a community center. Knitting classes for ladies, tutoring for kids, free legal aid on Wednesdays. The irony. David's room was now Sarah's. She came every weekend. Claudia and I became close. We shared the pain of having loved the same wrong man. Grandma Linda. Sarah would call me while watering the orange tree. Why is Daddy in a special school? I told her he was learning to be a better person. Children understand more than we think. Daniel came by often. He had become like the son David never was. He helped me with finances, accompanied me to the bank, made me laugh. Ms. Linda, you have a visitor, he told me one day. It was Emily. She had been released for good behavior and work. She came with a folder. Mrs. Miller, I'm not here to ask for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I'm here to give back. She opened the folder. They were deeds. My family has properties. I'm going to sell them. It's about $600,000. It's what I tried to steal from you. I'm returning it with interest. I don't want your money, Emily. It's not for you. It's for the foundation you created, so that more elderly people don't go through what you went through. The Michael Miller Foundation for the Elderly. I had started it with the money from Switzerland. Also, Emily continued, I'm working on a legislative initiative. Harsher prison sentences for family members who defraud the elderly. It will be called Linda's Law. For the first time in years, I saw sincerity in her eyes. Emily, why? Because in prison I met 20 women like you, all betrayed by family. One of them committed suicide. I couldn't live with that. I accepted the money for the foundation. Emily left. We never saw each other again, but I knew she kept her word. Linda's Law was passed a year later. A year after the trial, David was released on parole. He came to see me. I don't want anything, I told him from the doorway. I'm not here to ask. I'm here to tell. I let him speak from the yard. I killed Dad. The air froze. I put the medicine in his coffee. I wanted the money. I wanted to be free. I'm a monster mom. Why are you telling me this? Because the guilt is killing me. Because I need someone to know. And what do you want? Forgiveness? No, I want punishment. I'm going to confess. Officially. David, that's a life sentence. I know. But Sarah deserves a father who at least tells the truth. He left. He confessed. He was sentenced to 25 years. Sarah cries for her dad, but someday she'll understand that her father chose for the first time to do the right thing. 2 years later today is my 70th birthday. The house is full, not with blood relatives, but with chosen family. The ladies from the community center, the kids who take classes, Daniel and his family, Patricia, who became a friend, Esperanza, my best friend Claudia and Sarah. There's also Manuel, the 72-year-old volunteer I met at the foundation, a widower, a retired professor with kind eyes. We've become close. Michael would approve. "Grandma," Sarah says as I blow out the candles, "are you happy?" I look around. My house, which I almost lost, is now a refuge for many. My heart, which I thought was dead, beats with purpose. My life, which I thought was over, is just beginning. Yes, my love, I am happy. Even though Grandpa Michael isn't here, even though Daddy is far away, happiness, Sarah, isn't about having everything perfect. It's about building something beautiful from the broken pieces. Rose died 6 months ago. A fast-moving cancer. I went to see her at the end. Not for her, for me. For closure. Forgive me, Linda. I forgive you, Rose, but forgiveness doesn't erase what was done. She died that night. I paid for the funeral. She was my sister, after all. Today, as I write this, I look out the window. The orange tree is heavy with fruit. The garden is filled with the laughter of children. The house is more alive than ever. I sold the out-of-state properties. With that money, the foundation helps 100 seniors a month. The house in the historic district is a shelter for homeless elderly women. Sometimes I think of David in his cell. I send him pictures of Sarah. He never answers, but I know he gets them. Emily runs a pro bono legal aid office. She sent me a letter. "Thank you for not completely destroying me." I didn't destroy her. Life did. I just set boundaries. Michael was right in his letter. The time I have left is gold, and I'm using it well. Loving my granddaughter, helping my community, building a legacy of service, not resentment. The poetic justice wasn't revenge. It was transforming pain into purpose, betrayal into a lesson, loneliness into community. My name is Linda Miller. I'm 70 years old. I survived my family's betrayal. And I didn't just survive, I was reborn. This house I almost lost now shelters hope. This heart I thought was broken now beats for others. This life I thought was over is just beginning its best chapter. Because in the end, the best revenge isn't destroying the one who hurt you. It's building something so beautiful with your scars that even your enemies have to admire it. And I, the old woman in the shabby coat who ran out at midnight, now walk with my head held high every morning. Because I am Linda, and Linda doesn't give up. Linda is reborn. If this story touched your heart, if you know someone who needs to hear it, leave me a comment. Tell me where you're watching from. And if you believe everyone deserves a second chance to rise from their ashes, share this story. Like and subscribe for more stories of life, of justice, of hope. Because we all have a Linda inside us waiting for her moment to rise again. What about you? Have you ever had to choose between forgiveness and justice? Between a family of blood and a family of the soul? Tell me in the comments. Your story deserves to be heard too.